The Clintar, better known as symbiotes, are an alien species from the Marvel Comics. These parasites latch onto a host, using their strengths and combining their consciousness, and can only be removed through loud sounds, electricity, heat, and someone strong enough to rip them off. So what if they infected some of our favorite Sonic heroes? That's what we'll be exploring in this art collection, as I spin a narrative on how this could happen. So without further ado, let's jump right in. It started out as a normal day on Angel Island. Knuckles was patrolling his area to make sure no one was trying to steal the Master Emerald. Despite living on a floating island, a surprising amount of people tried to steal his stone. Although, it would turn out the Master Emerald wouldn't be the rock he would have to worry about that day. The Echidna looked up into the sky to see what looked like a second sun. He was confused by this strange fireball, but quickly became apparent that was no star. That was an asteroid. Knuckles ducked for cover as the meteorite crashed into his island. Knuckles saw something moving on the rock. He charged over to make sure no flickies were harmed by the crash. Sadly, that wasn't a flicky he saw. As he approached the stone, all he could find was a strange collection of goop attached to the rock. One of them was a maroon color. Before he could react, it jumped at him, latching onto his fur and flesh. He tried to rip it off, but all that seemed to accomplish was spread it to his hands. It moved up his arms, until eventually overtaking his body. What is this? Knuckles asked himself. To his surprise, a voice answered.
I am a Clintar. You are an Echidna. Together, we will be the fist of a new world of our brethren.
Knuckles felt its tendrils latching on to his mind. No, I am Knuckles, an Echidna warrior.
We must spread.
Now that he wasn't in full control of his own actions, Knuckles scooped up the remaining Clintar and charged into the jungle to find worthy hosts for his brethren. And sadly, there was indeed another host to be found. Rouge the Bat was trying to steal the Master Emerald while Knuckles was busy patrolling the island. She was expecting the island to start plummeting down to Earth as she picked up the emerald. What she was not expecting was the loud impact caused by the meteor. But she figured this would just keep Knuckles distracted for that bit longer. So as she flew through the jungle with the Master Emerald in tow, she wasn't expecting the goopy Echidna to tackle her out of the air. Rouge was horrified at what she saw, but tried to contain herself. Knuckles, trying out something new?
We are no longer Knuckles. We are the Fist, and you will be a valuable soldier in our army.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm no one's toy soldier.
Resistance is futile. You've already been infected.
Just what are you... Rouge looked down at her hand. A pink blob was growing across it. As Knuckles had tried before, she attempted to rip it off. But of course, it was futile. In moments, she was fully infected by the Clintar.
We used to think jewels were precious, but this is something else. What is our next target, Fist?
As she finished that sentence, the island finally crashed into the ocean, right outside the mystic ruins.
Simple. We spread our brethren across the world. Keep communications through the hive mind. Understood. I'll infect those at the jewel bank first. Don't get distracted. No promises.
And with that, the symbiotes raced off into the city. Before long, the Clintar invasion was in full swing. Several civilians had been infected, They created their own symbiotes and spread it to others. The Restoration was acting quickly to counteract the symbiotes, but it was clear they were overrun. As their own support squads were being taken over, they eventually had to call in the heroes. Amy was one of the first to arrive. She was horrified. For a minute, she thought this was another metal virus, but it became clear this was something entirely different. These creatures were faster, stronger, and more intelligent than any Zombot. And even using Wispons against them wasn't working, as the Wisp would simply get infected and then pass it on to their user, as Whisper would sadly learn. Luckily for Amy, her Pico Pico hammer wasn't nearly as vulnerable. She slammed her mallet into the ground, and to her shock, it wasn't the hit that was harming the symbiotes, but the sound. She hit the road again and again, and as the iconic Pico sound went off, the symbiotes grabbed their ears in pain, trying to regain control. Though this did successfully stun them, this also painted a target on Amy's back. They all began to focus on taking out the pink hedgehog. Using her melee skills, speed, and their newly found weakness against the symbiotes, Amy was able to hold her own for some time. But eventually, the inevitable happened. A symbiote latched onto her arm and slowly began to infect their new host. Amy slammed her hammer again and again onto the ground, hoping to knock the thing off, but it was resisting. Seeing the inevitable, Amy used the heightened strength the symbiote gave her to fight off the others for as long as she could maintain control. But in her final moments, as she felt the symbiote finally taking control, she looked into the sky. There was an orange fox flying down to support. And she simply yelled out, "Tails! Run!" Like Amy, Tails had been alerted to the situation. And as he arrived, most of the people were already infected with the symbiotes. As Tails tried to figure out what the best course of action was, Rouge, now going by Nails, swooped down at him.
Come now, Fox Boy. A genius like you must realize the Clintar are the next step in our evolution.
Rouge, if you're still in there, please snap out of it. I can cure you of this. I can cure everyone.
Cure? Cure? We are the cure. For a world that could not work together, we are one. Our hive mind links our purpose. There is no disorder, no chaos, just perfection.
Nails extended an arm with a tan symbiote leached onto it.
And now you can be a part of that perfection.
The symbiote leaped out at Miles, but Tails had come prepared. In one quick motion, Miles whipped out a canister, swung it at the symbiote, and sealed it within before he could be infected. Don't worry, Rouge. With this sample, I should be able to come up with an antidote. Nails, along with the rest of the symbiotes, hissed at this statement and charged towards Miles, intending to infect him themselves. Tails took to the sky, leaving most of the ground troopers behind, meaning only Fist and Nails to be his opposition.
Come on, little guy. It'll be like old times. You, me, and Sonic once we find him, all together in the Clintar army.
Knuckles, don't you hear yourself? You'd never say this. You're a guardian, not a puppet.
There is no Knuckles, only the Fist.
Nails grabbed the Fist by his namesake and tossed him up at Tails, faster than the fox could have expected, likely due to their heightened strength and speed thanks to the symbiotes. Tails was knocked out of the sky and fell back onto the ground. He quickly got up, preparing to fight, but that's when he noticed a crack on the vial. Before he could react, the symbiote broke out, latching over Miles' body, infecting him.
Now, Fox Boy, you'll see things our way. Rise up, Sly. Embrace your new identity.
The fox rolled on the ground, doing his best to resist the transformation.
It seems our brother may need some more convincing.
Right.
I'll handle this.
The fist walked up, preparing to knock out the fox to allow the transformation to complete, when suddenly he was knocked back by a blue blur. Standing before the corrupted heroes was an unfamiliar face with an unmistakable attitude.
Oh, hey Nux, long time no see.
The sudden appearance of the little blue savior caught everyone's attention. No one was quite sure what to make of this. Sonic had clearly been infected, but he didn't seem to be affected.
How? How could you resist our gift? Your mind should have fused with ours, Sonic. You should be a blue devil by now.
Sonic snickered to himself, wagging a blood-red finger sarcastically.
Oh, come on, Nux. I've resisted Dark Gaia's influence before. These alien boogers weren't gonna do anything to me.
The symbiotes were infuriated.
You've proven yourself too stubborn to accept our gift. So accept our wrath.
The fist charged at Sonic, but he effortlessly dodged.
Come on, you couldn't hit me before I had the symbiote. But now, it's like being supersonic without the emeralds. You should give it a try, Knuckles. Stop calling us that. It's not who we are. Oh, come on, Knuckles. It's just your name, Knuckles. What else would you like me to call you?
The symbiote finally hit Sonic in the face.
The name is the Fist.
Sonic returned to his feet.
Wow, real original there. Look, I'd love to workshop some names, but I got people to save.
Sonic quickly took off, grabbing civilians, one by one, dragging them to the air side of the city, uninfected and unharmed. Sonic then raced back to the battleground.
Now, as for the rest of you.
Sonic suddenly took a blow from the back of the head from the symbiotically controlled Amy.
We shall not be so easily moved. Amy? Don't worry, I'll get you out of there.
The pink rascal charged at Sonic, but he simply caught her attack and threw Rascal at Nails. However, before Sonic could celebrate, he was tackled to the ground by two symbiotes, the Fist, and Tails' new symbiote form, the Sly.
All our lives, we've been an outcast, surrounded by fools who saw us only as a deformity, not the genius we were. Now, with the hive mind, we are all one. Join us, Sonic.
Sonic was horrified to see his friend like this, but he was determined to get up and help him. As he tried to return to his feet, he was shoved onto the ground again by more symbiotes. They began to chant, "Join us! Join us!" But then he heard another voice. "Chaos Spear!" A handful of symbiotes were knocked off by the energy attack, launched by the ultimate lifeform himself, Shadow the Hedgehog. This gave Sonic the wiggle room he needed. He knocked the rest of the symbiotes off him and ran over to Shadow. Shadow hadn't been infected yet. This was very possibly the first good news Sonic had gotten all day.
Thanks for the save, Shadow. Before you say anything, I didn't cause this pandemic. This time.
Fortunate for you. Otherwise, I would have torn you apart myself. Now, what are we up against, Sonic?
I don't know much. I've been trying to keep out of their hive mind, but there's some sort of alien parasite. They might not even be from this dimension.
We've killed an alien army before. What's so different about this one? Sonic smiled a bit. He wasn't expecting to be inspired by Shadow of all people, but this has been a pretty weird day.
They didn't seem to like that chaos spear you shot earlier. Think you can keep that up?
Of course. With that, the two hedgehogs charged into battle, with symbiote Sonic dealing with their friends, while Shadow dealt with the hordes, with a series of chaos spears and other chaos abilities. Shadow was careful not to make direct contact. He wasn't about to make the same mistake he made with the Zombots. The pair fought on for some time, but despite their best efforts, they didn't seem to be doing anything to the symbiote horde. So Shadow whipped out his trump card, the green Chaos Emerald. Chaos Control! He slowed the flow of time so he could deal out more precise blows to his enemies without fear of being infected. After all, the symbiote can't latch onto you if time isn't moving. After this grand display, most of the symbiotes deemed Shadow the bigger threat of the pair. Nail swooped in towards Shadow, with him dodging out of the way, and the Bat exchanging some dialogue.
Come now, Shadow. We've worked so well together in the past. Don't you want it to be like that again? You can join us.
No, Rouge is my ally, not you, you disgusting parasite. The symbiote was enraged by this comment. It soared directly at Shadow, intending to tackle it, but Shadow blasted the creature directly in the face. It hit the ground hard. The ooze had temporarily retracted from the face where it had been hit. For but a moment, the true Rouge spoke out. Shadow? What's going on? Rouge? Hang in there. It was then Shadow felt a sharp pain on his back. A venomized Whisper the Wolf had infected him. Damn it. Shadow's attempt to save a friend had failed. Just like Maria, now Rouge had been lost, as Nail stood up, cackling at his situation.
Don't you get it? There is no Rouge, no friend, just the Clintar.
With tears in his eyes, Shadow regained his composure before solemnly stating, I am Shadow the Hedgehog, the world's ultimate life form. I may have failed my friends in the past, but I will not fail them now. Shadow threw the Chaos Emerald to Sonic. Sonic, get out of here before it's too late. The symbiote had already spread across most of his body, with his face now resembling that of Black Doom, and his chest fluff transforming into a pair of tendrils. Sonic quickly picked up the emerald, and with remorse in his eyes, he said, Shadow, Tails, everyone, I will save you. And with that, he enunciated the words, Chaos Control! And with that, Sonic warped away, as the entire city was overtaken by the Clintar. And this is where we'll be leaving this story for right now. So what do you guys think of this art story time thing? Should I make more videos like this? Maybe we could make this like a monthly thing? I'll let you guys decide. But don't worry, I'll probably finish this story if this video does well. So, if you want to see a part 2, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, yada yada yada, normal YouTube stuff. And hey, if you have any other ideas, feel free to suggest them. But above all else, I've been Comic Fan 13, and I hope you have a good day.